Sleeping is kind of scary, right? I mean, you're going to sleep, which means that you go unconscious for like hours at a time and you have no idea where you're going. You never realize when you enter into sleep, which I always thought was weird that you never know. It just kind of happens. It's kind of scary, right? Maybe it's just me, but sleep has always terrified and fascinated me, which is why I want to cover this iceberg. Follow my Instagram, join my Discord, and let's get straight into this, starting with just regular dreams. Casual dreaming is just the everyday dreams that most people experience during sleep. These dreams occur primarily during the rapid eye movement phase of sleep, or the REM or REM sleep, although they can also happen in non-REM stages, which we're going to call NREM from now on. Dreams can include sensory, motor, and emotional experiences that like stimulate experiences from waking life, but they can be entirely fantastical or surreal. Dream content can be influenced by a variety of factors, including personal experience, daily activities, and emotional status. I mean, that's just like obvious. It's like you're gonna dream about what you do in your life, you know? But now, neurologically, dreaming involves various brain regions, including the amygdala, wait, is that a Blade reference? Which processes emotions, and the hippocampus, which plays a role in memory formation. The exact function of dreaming is still a subject of research, but theory suggests that it might help in processing emotions, consolidating memories, or stimulating threatening events as a form of evolutionary adaptation, which is kind of interesting. That last one does make sense because I heard about how people like Michael Phelps will actually try to dream about their sport the night before they have to do a meet, and then this actually like gets their brain used to it and they're like less anxious because of it. It's pretty interesting. Like according to medium.com, lucid dreaming in athletes is 57%. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. I think because stress comes from a novel experience you're worried about, right? Like an experience you haven't had before. So before anything stressful, just dream about it and then it won't be novel anymore. You'll be more used to it and your brain will be better prepared to deal with it. Next on the iceberg is melatonin supplements. Melatonin is a hormone produced by the pineal gland in the brain, which helps regulate the sleep-wake cycle by signaling the body that it's time to sleep as part of the circadian rhythm. Melatonin supplements are often used to treat sleep disorders like insomnia or just to help with sleep problems caused by jet lag or shift work or just if you can't sleep. And these supplements are actually like the reason why they're useful to take extra isn't just to add to it, but it actually helps usually with things that will reduce the amount of melatonin in your brain anyway. For instance, exposure to blue light from screens before bedtime can actually reduce melatonin production, which makes it harder to fall asleep. Which is why if you're, doing the death scroll on TikTok for like 3 hours before you go to bed, a melatonin supplement will make you sleepier and make you like feel more normal because you'll have the natural amount of melatonin in your brain. I don't know, guys. I take melatonin like half the week, probably like 3 or 4 days out of the week. I'll pop melatonin. I just hate not being able to sleep. It's like one of the worst things ever. Like, oh my god, like waking up and it's like too hot or too cold in your room and you just like can't. You're just like miserable. That's like the worst thing ever. Next up, we have sleepwalking. Sleepwalking is a sleep disorder that occurs during deep NREM sleep stages. So not REM sleep, typically in the first third of the night. During a sleepwalking episode, a person might walk around, perform complex tasks, or even engage in unusual behaviors, like eating inedible substances all while they're asleep. Now, the reason why this happens is that during these stages, the brain's electrical activity, as measured by an EEG, slows dramatically, and the brain waves are referred to as delta waves. This period is characterized by the lowest rates of cerebral metabolism throughout the 24-hour cycle. And basically, without getting too in-depth, why you actually sleepwalk is your brain basically shuts off all of your muscles when you go to sleep, and then sometimes your brain doesn't do a very good job and your muscles don't get turned off, so then you end up acting out your dreams, pretty much. And the opposite is true for sleep paralysis, but we'll get into that more in depth later on. Now, neurochemically, what's really interesting is sleepwalking is associated with an increase in serotonin and a decrease in dopamine. This imbalance could disrupt the normal paralysis that accompanies REM sleep, which allows physical activity during NREM sleep. So basically, once you're in REM sleep, it messes up the function I was talking about to where it shuts your muscles off, and then boom, during NREM sleep, you get around and your muscles turn back on. Now, this is interesting. There's actually a genetic predisposition to sleepwalking. And get this, it's more common in identical twins and in individuals who have a family history of sleepwalking. And also, while we're talking about this, it's actually a myth that you should like never wake a sleepwalker. You probably heard that before, but it's actually completely untrue. Like, it might be disorienting for them to be woken up while they're sleepwalking, but it's good for them. Like, I don't know, we've all seen that horror movie, like where, oh my god, he falls into the pool when he's sleepwalking, then he dies, or whatever. Like, what is that? Is that in like Conjuring 2? I think, Yeah, it's in Conjuring 2, the sleepwalker. But anyways, yeah, I mean, you could totally wake them up. That's good for them, probably. All right, guys, and I promise we're gonna get to some more interesting things later. This, I'm trying to make it as interesting as I can, but I really want to get through these top layers really quick to get into the cool stuff. But anyways, I am gonna be talking about the cool stuff about these top layers. So anyways, let's get into NREM sleep. NREM sleep, or again, non-rapid eye movement sleep, is one of the two basic types of sleep. The other is REM sleep. And NREM sleep is divided into 3 stages, each deeper than the last. So stage 1 is the transition from wakefulness to sleep, which lasts several minutes. And then stage 2 is light sleep, where heart rate and breathing regulate and body temperature drops. And then stage 3 is deep sleep, which is important for physical recovery and health. It's during this stage that sleepwalking can occur. NREM sleep is critical for memory consolidation, cellular repair, and releasing growth hormones in children and young adults. And it's also during NREM sleep the body restores itself, so this stage is essential for feeling rested. Now, I learned this actually recently. When you're sleeping, the reason why your brain feels rested is because, like, by the way, if you didn't know, your brain takes up more calories than any other part of your body, right? And whenever it's using it, it creates all these byproducts and these like waste particles, right? Of any chemical reaction, you get waste products. And then when you're asleep, your brain shuts off certain parts and then it actually like cleans them out. Like it'll send like a fluid through it to clean it out of all the waste. And so if you're sleep deprived or if you just don't sleep for a while, your brain could get a buildup of this waste. That's part of why you get like really, really tired and like cloudy and lightheaded and your brain can't function as well. Now, to put what I just said more scientifically and probably more accurately, NREM sleep is essential for brain plasticity, or the brain's ability to change and adapt as a result of experience. Synaptic downscaling is a process that occurs during deep NREM sleep, which helps to prune unnecessary neural connections, essentially, quote, cleaning the brain and making it more efficient. During NREM sleep, the body repairs tissues, builds bone and muscle, and strengthens the immune system. Growth hormone is released predominantly during this phase of sleep, which is crucial for growth and cell repair. Now, if you've seen my last video on drugs, then you will get this part and understand it a little bit better. Go check that one out, by the way, after you finish this video. GABA, or gamma aminobutyric acid, the primary inhibitory neurotransmitter in the brain, plays a significant role during NREM sleep. It helps to reduce neuronal excitability throughout the nervous system, contributing to the like restorative functions of sleep. And NREM sleep is also like when you spend the most time sleeping. All right, and now we got the Inception movie. Oh yeah, Christopher Nolan. Inception is a sci-fi film by Christopher Nolan in 2010, and the film explores the concept of shared dreams and the possibility of entering and manipulating other person's subconscious mind. It introduces the idea of dream within a dream scenarios where characters navigate multiple layers of the dream to plant an idea in a target subconscious, a process called Inception. And that's why the movie's called Inception. And although the technology in the movie is completely fictional, the movie did spark real scientific interest and dialogue about the potential of influencing dreams and the use of dreams in therapy, especially for conditions like PTSD. All right, and that was layer 1, pretty quick. All right, now we're starting layer 2. All right, and the first entry in layer 2 is REM sleep. REM stands for rapid eye movement and is a sleep stage associated with vivid dreams. It's characterized by fast and random movements of the eye, as well as low muscle tone throughout the body and the tendency to provide the most memorable dreams. During REM sleep, the brain becomes highly active, almost to the level where you're awake. However, your body is essentially paralyzed, a condition known as REM atonia, which prevents you from acting out your dreams. This paradoxical state is thought to be protective, keeping you from harm. And this is also, again, where sleep paralysis and sleepwalking come from, because if the atonia isn't working right, then this can cause sleep paralysis or sleepwalking, because if you stay in sleep atonia even when you're awake, you can't move still. Now, REM sleep involves a complex interplay of neurotransmitters. Acetylcholine levels are high, maintaining brain activity, while monoamines like serotonin or norepinephrine are silent, creating the unique REM sleep environment. By the way, I was pronouncing norepinephrine as norepinephrine in the last video, and yeah, I'm sorry guys, I got mixed up. I'm sorry. The first REM period might last only a few minutes, but it gets longer throughout the night, with the final REM period or REM stage lasting up to an hour. REM sleep is also thought to contribute to consolidating memories, processing emotions, and learning. So if you're learning a new skill, you might have more REM sleep that night. And also pretty interesting, babies spend much more time in REM sleep than adults, which is thought to be crucial for their brain development. Next up, we have Lucid Dreams. Now, this is a song by Juice WRLD that came out in 2018. The chorus of the song goes, "I still see your shadows in..." Wait, hello? okay, never mind, guys. My fault. Lucid dreaming is when you're aware that you're dreaming while you're dreaming, and in some cases, you can even control the dream narrative. Lucid dreams occur during REM sleep typically. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain involved in higher functions like self-awareness and decision-making, becomes active during lucid dreams, which isn't the case in typical dreams. Now, some people just naturally have lucid dreams, while others can learn to induce them through techniques such as reality checks and mnemonic induction. And it has also been suggested that lucid dreaming can be therapeutic, helping to alleviate nightmares. It's been used as a therapy for nightmares, like with people with PTSD, and some video game players report a higher incidence of lucid dreams, possibly due to like the games being immersive and stuff. Lucid dreaming is kind of scary to me, dude, like getting trapped in one. I think that's going to come up later in the iceberg, but that is terrifying, so keep that in mind. And just like a lot of things in like sleeping and dreaming, lucid dreaming happens because of your brain being too active. So it's just when your brain kind of messes up and is too active during REM sleep. And next up, we have nightmares. Nightmares are distressing dreams that usually lead to awakening and can cause a range of negative emotions like fear, sadness, or anxiety. They can be triggered by stress, anxiety, sleep deprivation, certain medications, and substances like alcohol. Nightmares occur during REM sleep, and they often involve immediate threats to survival or security, or they can be anything. I mean, nightmares are very subjective, I feel like. Like, one thing that's scary to you would not be scary to me. Like, for me, guys, I'm gonna level with you. You can't tell anybody. This is kind of a secret. It's kind of embarrassing, but I have cetophobia. Editor, I'm DMing you that word right now, so you know how to spell it and put it on screen. Thanks, editor. You're the best. But this is a fear of dolphins and whales. So, like, whenever I see a dolphin or a whale, I freak out. And yeah, so if I had a dream about a dolphin or a whale, that would be a nightmare to me, but it probably would not be to you because you're probably not a loser like me. But anyways, regular nightmares can actually be a condition in itself known as a nightmare disorder, and it can lead to fear of going to sleep and bedtime anxiety and daytime sleepiness. And the content of nightmares can be influenced by like the things you see, like the movies you watch, the books you read, and personal experiences and stuff. It's kind of interesting. It really is like an Inside Out. It's a little custom TV show for you. Now, during nightmares, the amygdala, which is what processes emotions, is highly active, while the prefrontal cortex, which handles logic and reasoning, is less active. And this imbalance may explain the intense emotions and lack of control experienced during nightmares. Next up, we have jet lag. Jet lag is what occurs when your body's internal clock or circadian rhythm is out of sync with the time zone that you're in, typically after long flights across multiple time zones. Our circadian rhythm regulates sleepiness and wakefulness over a 24-hour period and is influenced by light exposure and melatonin production. So our circadian rhythm is like what our brain uses to like keep us in check for sleeping. So it's based on like sun exposure. So then if you go somewhere else and then you get used to it being daytime at a certain time and nighttime at a certain time, and then boom, you come back to where you usually are, you're gonna be jet lagged. Now, the direction of travel affects jet lag because most people find it harder to adjust while traveling eastward compared to westward, because it can be more challenging for our bodies to like shorten the day than to lengthen it. Next up, we have sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is a sleep disorder characterized by pauses in breathing or periods of shallow breathing during sleep. Now, there are two main types. There's obstructive sleep apnea, which is OSA, caused by physical blockage of the upper airway, and central sleep apnea, which is CSA, where the brain fails to properly control breathing during sleep. So like obstructive sleep apnea usually is caused by like obesity and that kind of thing, and then central is more like genetic usually, or just kind of random. Now, untreated sleep apnea can lead to chronic health problems like hypertension, heart disease, and diabetes, and it also obviously can contribute to daytime fatigue and cognitive impairment. Now, this is why people use CPAP machines for sleep apnea. A CPAP machine, which stands for a continuous positive airway pressure machine, literally like forces the airway open and it like pushes air down your throat. Afterlife dreams. Afterlife dreams are dreams that involve concepts of life after death or deceased individuals. They're often profound and can be comforting or distressing depending on the context. These dreams can be a part of the grieving process, allowing one to process loss and the emotions associated with it, and they can also reflect one's beliefs, fears, or hopes of what happens after death. Afterlife dreams could also be referring to like whenever you die, you know, because some people have died and then come back to life and they've like reported seeing things like while they're dead, you know. And I'm not here to say anything about what any of those mean, obviously, but I am here to say that as a Christian, I believe that you either go to heaven or hell. And if you want to learn more about that in a non-screwed up, like weird church environment, go click the link in my description. I'm a firm believer. Moving on. Next up, we have sleep deprivation. Sleep deprivation occurs when an individual gets less sleep than their body needs to function optimally. It impairs cognitive function, memory, and emotional regulation, and chronic sleep deprivation can lead to to serious health issues like obesity, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and lowered immune function. Lack of sleep can upset the balance of neurotransmitters, including those responsible for mood and judgment, such as serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. Yeah, sleep deprivation is probably what most people have. Yeah, you watching this video, you probably have sleep deprivation. You're probably pretty sleep deprived. Take that, buddy. You probably stay up all night till 3 or 4 a.m. on your phone, scrolling through TikToks, because you can't stop watching those videos of the people with Down syndrome farting. And you know what? I get it, because I do the exact same thing, okay? Narcolepsy. Narcolepsy is a chronic neurological disorder affecting the brain's ability to regulate sleep-wake cycles. It's characterized by excessive daytime sleepiness, cataplexy, which is sudden brief loss of muscle tone triggered by emotions, sleep paralysis, and hallucinations. Now, the cause of narcolepsy is not fully understood, but it is believed to involve a loss of orexin, also known as hypocretin, producing neurons in the hypothalamus. Orexin is a neuropeptide that regulates arousal, wakefulness, and appetite. Yeah, so I definitely wouldn't want narcolepsy after hearing that it controls wakefulness, appetite, and arousal. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, boys? Narcolepsy is often associated with sleep attacks where an individual falls asleep spontaneously, but not all people with narcolepsy experience these. Irregular wake cycle. An irregular wake cycle refers to a pattern of sleeping that doesn't follow the typical circadian rhythm. This can mean waking up and going to sleep at very different times each day or night, often seen in shift workers or individuals with irregular schedules. Our internal body clock regulates sleep and wakefulness in a roughly 24-hour cycle. It responds primarily to light, but also to social and behavioral patterns. Disrupting this rhythm can lead to a host of sleep-related issues. By the way, you can use this to your advantage, because if you find yourself not being able to fall asleep at a certain time or wake up at a certain time, you might want to start using light, because light really does affect that. You might want to start using like the night shift on your phone, and then instead of using like an alarm, like get one of those like smart lights, you know, to wake you up instead, or like a phone like flashlight or something, because then your body will get used to it, and light usually is like what actually causes that. Anyways, an irregular wake cycle can lead to symptoms similar to jet lag, such as daytime sleepiness and fatigue and difficulty concentrating. This can also though lead to like heart disease and obesity and diabetes, so be careful, bro. The master clock that regulates the circadian rhythm is located in a part of the brain called the, okay, I'm about to mess this up, guys, suprachiasmatic nucleus, or the SCN, situated in the hypothalamus. Pretty cool. Static dreams. Okay, so for static dreams, I can't find much online. I'm not really sure what it means, and I have a choice here. Okay, guys, I have a choice. I could choose to either read from dreaminterp.com, which says that static dreams are caused by a magnetic personality, but I don't trust this website at all. This looks awful. So instead, I'm going to go to a Reddit link, because Reddit is awesome. So the Reddit post is about a Redditor who is talking about a recurring dream from their childhood at around 6 or 7 years old, which was not only persistent during that time, but also remarkably vivid, to the point that it remained a singular, memorable dream even years later. Now, in the dream, there's a consistent theme of static, both visually and audibly, and a featureless humanoid figure that stands holding an object, something circular like a boulder or a rock, above its head. And as the figure approaches, the static noise intensifies, and the closeness of the figure, like, correlates, I guess, with the Redditor waking up, often accompanied by fear. So, like, the closer that the guy got, the more awake he was, I think. So, yeah, this is the static man. I don't know if this is what the Iceberg's talking about. I could be totally wrong. Not sure what a static dream is, but, next up, we have falling sensation. The falling sensation is commonly referred to as a hypnic jerk or sleep start. It's a sudden involuntary muscle contraction that occurs as a person is falling asleep. I get these all the time and I hate it, bro. I hate it. I hate it. I'm tired of pretending like this is just a normal thing, bro. Why? This is so stupid. This is like the worst deal ever, bro. I'm sleeping. I'm about to fall asleep finally, and then it's like, it's like, dude, oh my god, I hate it so much. Anyways, the exact cause of these is unknown, but theory suggests that it may be associated with the relaxation of muscles as one transitions from wakefulness to sleep, or a neurological misfire in the brain as the brain enters the early stages of sleep. Many people experience the sensation accompanied by a visual dream-like image, such as stumbling on the sidewalk, which might be the brain's way of making sense of this sudden muscle contraction. For me, I'm usually like climbing a like rope bridge and then I fall, bro, or I'm like on like a cliff and I just like fall over, and it's terrifying and I hate it, and I hate it. Hypnic jerks are considered a normal part of falling asleep and are not generally a cause for concern unless they significantly disrupt your sleep. Next up, we have insomnia. Insomnia is a common sleep disorder that involves difficulty falling asleep, staying asleep, or both, leading to non-restorative sleep and impairment during wake hours. Now, there are two types of insomnia pretty much. There's acute insomnia, which is short-term and often triggered by stress or a traumatic event, but then there's also chronic insomnia, which is long-term and it occurs at least 3 nights a week for 3 months or longer. This is often linked to health conditions, medications, or substance use. Now, the treatment for it is there is like this cognitive behavioral therapy, which is CBT, and this is considered an effective treatment and often involves strategies to modify sleep behaviors and improve sleep hygiene. Medications may also be prescribed but are generally recommended for short-term use due to potential side effects and dependence if you take it for too long. Insomnia is bad, dude. It's scary. I am glad that I don't have that. I'm very glad. If you do, I'm actually sorry for you because that sounds like one of the worst things that can happen to a human. All right, first up in layer 3, we have sleep talking. Sleep talking, also known as somniloquy, is a sleep disorder that involves unconscious talking during sleep. It can occur during any stage of the sleep cycle, but is most common during transitions from REM to NREM sleep, and vice versa. It's a type of parasomnia, which is a category of sleep disorders that involve abnormal movements, behaviors, emotions, perceptions, and dreams. The causes of sleep talking are not entirely understood, but it is believed to be influenced by genetics as it often runs in families. Sleep talking can also be triggered by external factors such as stress, depression, sleep deprivation, daytime drowsiness, alcohol, fever. In some cases, it may be associated with other sleep disorders such as sleep apnea, nightmares, or REM sleep behavior disorder. Now, during sleep, our brain goes through cycles of activity. In the deep stages of NREM sleep, the brain is less active and our body is in a state of rest and recovery. As we shift into REM sleep, where most dreaming occurs, our brain activity increases, resembling that of being awake. Sleep talking may occur during these transitions because certain areas of the brain are active enough to produce speech, yet the conscious parts involved in self-awareness and control, and like the parts that cause you to not do it out loud, are still dormant. A fascinating aspect of sleep talking is that the content can range from nonsensical babbling to complex and like coherent monologues. It can involve conversation, speeches, or even languages that the sleeper only has a limited waking proficiency in. And this phenomenon shows how like deeply language really is embedded in our brains. Next up, we have wet dreams. YouTube bot, I don't know, I probably shouldn't even care about this. It's probably not that serious, but like YouTube bot, this is educational. If you hear me saying words like sex, it's educational. I'm not promoting anything bad here. This is an informative, educational video. Wet dreams or nocturnal emissions are another type of parasomnia that primarily affect males, although females can also experience them. They involve involuntary ejaculation during sleep, typically associated with sexual or erotic dreams, though it can also happen without that. The occurrence of wet dreams is closely tied to the hormonal changes in the body during puberty. As the levels of sex hormones like testosterone increase, the incidence of wet dreams may also rise. This is the body's way of releasing excess seminal fluid. While wet dreams are a biological function, they're often accompanied by dreams with sexual imagery or themes. And this is because during REM sleep, the brain is highly active, and parts of the brain associated with pleasure and emotion, such as the limbic system, are especially engaged. Despite the common term wet dream, not all such experiences actually involve explicit, like sexual content. The body's physiological response can occur with any dream that results in an increased autonomic nervous system activity. Next up, we have dreams about Minecraft. This one, I'm not really sure what to talk about, but I think I wrote something good. We're gonna find out. I don't know. I don't really know what to say about this one, but here we go. Dreaming about Minecraft, which is a popular sandbox video game, is an example of how our daily activities and interests can spill over into our dreams, a phenomenon sometimes referred to as the Tetris effect. Players of Minecraft or similar games often report dreaming about the game's content after playing for extended periods, especially if they play right after or before sleeping. When we engage intensely in activities like playing video games, the brain regions involved in problem solving, spatial navigation, and visual processing are highly active. If you play Minecraft before bed, these same regions remain active and you're more likely to dream about similar challenges and scenarios. Minecraft has a distinctive visual style and involves creative building and survival elements that can make a strong impression on the mind. The game's open-ended nature really allows for like infinite possibilities, which can fuel the imagination and by extension, our dream content. Dreams about video games can be be indicative of how the brain processes and consolidates new skills and memories. Like, as you learn the mechanics of the game and navigate its world, your brain rehearses and reinforces these pathways during sleep, sometimes manifesting as dreams about the game. Prophetic dreams. Prophetic dreams, also known as precognitive dreams, are dreams that are believed by the dreamer to predict future events. These dreams have been reported throughout history and across various cultures, often intertwined with like spiritual and supernatural beliefs. Now, one of the most cited examples of a prophetic dream is the one reported by Abraham Lincoln. According to Ward Hill Luhman, a friend and biographer of Lincoln, the president shared a dream with him just a few days before his assassination. In the dream, Lincoln wandered through the White House following the sound of mournful sobbing. He found himself in the East Room, where he encountered a covered corpse guarded by soldiers and surrounded by a crowd of mourners. When Lincoln asked one of the soldiers who had died, the soldier responded, "The president. He was killed by an assassin." That's kind of creepy, bro. I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of creepy. Also, there are a lot of reported cases of people dreaming of the Titanic disaster before it happened. Now, from a scientific standpoint, there's no conclusive evidence that dreams can actually predict the future. Skeptics argue that so-called prophetic dreams are the result of coincidence, the brain's pattern recognition capabilities, or just a psychological phenomenon known as confirmation bias, which you probably know what it is. I don't gotta baby you and patronize you, that's my fault. But this also could be pretty similar to deja vu, scientists think, which would make sense. Somnophobia. Somnophobia, also known as hypnophobia, is the irrational fear of falling asleep. This fear can be due to dread of losing control, nightmares, or even fear of death. It can lead to sleep deprivation and significantly impact one's health and well-being. Somnophobia can be triggered by traumatic events, nightmares, or even stories and films depicting sleep in a negative light, such as the Nightmare on Elm Street series. The fear can cause anxiety, insomnia, and in severe cases, a vicious cycle, where the fear of sleep leads to sleep deprivation, which in turn exacerbates anxiety and fear. Treatment often involves that CBT I was talking about to address the underlying fears and improve sleep hygiene, and also exposure therapy, where individuals are gradually exposed to their fear of sleep in a controlled manner, can also be effective. Now, mirror dreams is interesting. Mirror dreams involve seeing oneself in a dream, often in a reflective surface like a mirror. These dreams can range from mundane reflections to distorted or unrecognizable versions of oneself, often exploring themes of identity, self-perception, or introspection. Mirrors in dreams are thought to symbolize self-reflection and the exploration of one's identity. Distorted reflections can represent like internal conflicts or insecurities or a distorted self-image. And also, if you see a mirror and you don't see anything in it, that can mean that you're kind of losing grip on your own identity. Mirror dreams can sometimes lead to lucid dreaming, as the oddity of the reflection may trigger the realization that one is dreaming. And in literature and mythology, mirrors are often used as symbols of truth and revelation, a concept that extends into the realm of dreams. I wonder where they got it from. Speaking of Nightmare on Elm Street, we have Freddy Krueger dreams. Freddy Krueger is a character from the Nightmare on Elm Street film series known for haunting and attacking victims in their dreams, leading to their death in the real world. Dreams involving this character can be categorized under nightmares induced by media. Exposure to horror movies, especially at a young age when the brain is still developing, can lead to vivid nightmares featuring elements or characters from the movies you watch. Freddy Krueger, with his distinctive appearance and dream-invading abilities, represents a direct intrusion into what is supposed to be a safe, personal space, our dreams. Now, the creation of Freddy Krueger by Wes Craven was inspired by several sources, including a series of articles about sudden unexplained death syndrome, or SUDS, among Laotian refugees in the 1970s and 1980s, where victims reportedly died in their sleep after nightmares. Creepy. The character has become an iconic figure in horror, symbolizing the power of fear and the vulnerability of humans during sleep. Next up, we have Rett syndrome. Rett syndrome is a rare, severe neurological disorder that mostly affects girls. It's usually diagnosed in early childhood between 6 to 18 months of age, and it leads to profound physical and cognitive impairments. Initially, children with Rett syndrome may develop normally, but gradually lose their motor skills and speech. They may also develop stereotypic hand movements such as ringing or tapping. I don't know why this is in the sleep thing. It causes like bad sleep for you, but I just can talk more about Rett syndrome, I guess, if you want. Rett syndrome is mainly caused by mutations in the MECP2 gene on the X chromosome, which plays a crucial role in brain development and the function of nerve cells. The disorder is genetic but rarely inherited, and most cases result from spontaneous mutations. Yeah, I don't know why this is on the sleep thing. Anyways, moving on. Laughing gas. So you've probably heard of laughing gas before, right? Officially, it's called nitrous oxide, and it's that stuff that dentists sometimes use to help you relax during a procedure. Now, while we're not talking about a sleep aid weed per se, the way it works does touch on why it might make you feel a bit like you're drifting off to sleep. When you inhale laughing gas, it's like flipping a switch in your brain that turns down the volume on stress and pain. It doesn't knock you out like a general anesthesia would, but it does give you a like super relaxed state. You might feel light, floaty, or even a bit dreamy, but you're not actually sleeping. It's more about being in a chilled out zone where your body takes like a break from being super alert. The interesting thing is, even though it feels like you're on the edge of sleep, nitrous oxide doesn't really do much for your sleep quality. It's like being in a cozy, fuzzy state that's somewhere between awake and asleep, but once the gas wears off, you're right back to your normal self. So it's a great time for a stress-free dentist visit, but not something that'll really help with catching Z's at night. Shout out Blade, catching Z's. That's a line from Top Man. Next up, we have out-of-body experiences. This is when things get really sci-fi. Imagine you're lying in bed and suddenly you feel like you're floating up and looking down at your own body. Sounds like something out of a movie scene, right? But for some people, this can actually happen during sleep or when they're about to fall asleep or wake up. OBEs, or out-of-body experiences, are super fascinating because they show us just how wild our brains are. Scientists think it might have to do with a mix-up in the brain areas that help us figure out where we are in space and what's going on around us. When these areas get their wires crossed, your brain might think, hey, I'm over here looking at myself, even when you haven't moved. These experiences might happen around times when we're not fully awake or asleep, like during sleep paralysis. And that's a weird state where you're kind of stuck between dreaming and waking up and your body can't move. Some people also manage to have OBEs on purpose through meditation or when they're dreaming, like lucid dreaming, where you know you're dreaming and you can control it. And the cool part about this is that OBEs show us that sleep isn't really just a time for rest, it's also like a playground for our brains to explore all kinds of stuff. It's really cool, actually, I think. And that ends that layer. Let's get into layer 4, which is called Weird Stuff, Bro. Starting with MIT Technology. So MIT is the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. If you didn't know, it's like a college, it's a university. So first off, MIT researchers have developed advanced technologies for monitoring sleep without the need for attaching sensors directly to the body. One such technology uses radio signals to measure breathing and pulse as a person sleeps. It's like having an invisible hand checking on you to see if you're okay. This tech can detect sleep stages from light to deep sleep and even REM sleep. Like imagine a device sitting quietly in the corner of your room and it's smart enough to tell you how well you slept last night, when you were dreaming, and if your sleep was disturbed. And this isn't even science fiction, it's real thanks to the work being done at MIT. Now let's get weirder. MIT researchers have also dabbled in technologies that intersect with the ability to influence or control dreams, specifically during the REM sleep stage. They've developed a device called Dormio, designed to extend the state of hypnagogia, which by the way is a great Breakins album. But also hypnagogia is just a term used to describe the transitional state from wakefulness to sleep. During hypnagogia, you start to dream, but you're slightly aware of your surroundings still, and this state is a goldmine for creativity. With Dormio, the idea is to whisper certain cues or topics as you're in the semi-dreaming state to influence the direction of your dreams. So if you're working on a problem or seeking creative inspiration, this device could help steer your dream work in that direction. It's like helping you to get work done even when you're asleep. Another fascinating area MIT is exploring is the use of sleep to enhance learning. Studies have shown that during sleep, especially during certain sleep stages, our brains consolidate memories and skills learned throughout the day. And then MIT technology aims to amplify this natural process, potentially allowing us to learn new languages, skills, or information more efficiently by replaying audio cues at strategic times during sleep. This is kind of crazy, dude, I'm not gonna lie. And next up, we have sleep paralysis. Now, sleep paralysis occurs during transitions in and out of REM sleep. And in REM sleep, like we've already said, your brain is highly active, but your body is paralyzed, which again is nature's way of preventing you from acting out your dreams. Sometimes this mechanism gets out of sync though, and your mind surfaces into awareness, but your body's paralysis lingers, leaving you trapped in a state of consciousness where dreams or nightmares and reality blur. Like imagine you're lying there unable to move a muscle, and suddenly you're not alone. Your brain, still in a dreamlike state, conjures up vivid hallucinations. Shadows morph into ominous figures, a weight presses down in your chest, or you might even sense an evil presence lurking just behind view. These sensory illusions are so lifelike in that moment because your brain is struggling to make sense of this limbo. People have reported feeling as if they're being choked, seeing dark figures at the edge of their bed, or even hearing whispers filled with malice. These experiences are the fuel behind many cultural legends of demons and nighttime visitations, like the infamous night hag or old hag syndrome, where sufferers feel an oppressive weight on their chest, is a universal tale. And also like the rake is one, like a common internet one is the rake. Sleep paralysis is like really scary. Like, we've all seen the memes of like the sleep paralysis demons, right? But it is good that we kind of know how it works and why it works. Makes it a little bit less scary to understand it more, I guess. It's pretty interesting, the science behind it, I think. I think that sleep science is pretty cool, and I kind of like it. Next up, we have alien abduction dreams. So individuals report being taken by extraterrestrial beings from their bedrooms or other familiar environments. These dreams are usually intensely vivid, involving travel to spacecraft, interaction with aliens, and sometimes like getting probed by aliens. And the level of detail and emotional impact from these dreams kind of makes it scary a little bit, like how real they are, you know? Not a lot to say about these, you know? There's just alien abductions in dreams. Kind of scary, kind of weird. Yeah. Next up, we have nightmare purgatory. Okay, imagine being caught in a loop of nightmares where each attempt to wake up only leads you into another nightmare filled with fear and anxiety. This state, akin to purgatory, represents a middle ground, not fully awake to escape the terror, but not deep enough in sleep to be oblivious to it. It's a liminal space where the subconscious mind plays out its deepest fears over and over and over again in vivid detail. Often, this perpetual nightmarish state reflects underlying anxieties or unresolved issues in one's life. The repetition of nightmares can symbolize the cyclic nature of these anxieties, presenting them in various forms and scenarios, each designed by the subconscious mind to confront or escape these unresolved feelings. Like, high levels of stress, trauma, or even certain mental health conditions can exacerbate the frequency and intensity of nightmares, trapping you in this purgatory-like state. The brain, in an attempt to process these emotions, creates scenarios that can often be overwhelming or frightening, making the dreamer feel stuck in this nightmarish loop. Those who experience this phenomenon often report a sense of helplessness and despair. The constant barrage of nightmarish imagery and scenarios can lead to sleep avoidance, fear of sleep, and even insomnia. So it's actually like really, really bad. And it's also not uncommon for individuals to wake up feeling exhausted as if they've been battling their demons all night. Shout out to 21 Pilots, bro. But also, this gives me a chance to bring up how good a bedtime routine is, guys. They're good for you. What can I say? I mean, I support it, you know? Yeah. Next up is night terrors, which, by the way, I know it's scary and stuff, but this is one of the coolest names for a thing I've ever heard in my life. Is it night terror? Are you kidding me? That's badass, bro. Anyways, night terrors, also known scientifically as sleep terrors, are episodes of screaming, intense fear, or flailing while asleep. They're more common in children, but adults can also experience them too. Unlike nightmares, which occur during REM sleep, night terrors happen during non-REM sleep, specifically during the deepest phase of sleep, usually within the first few hours of falling asleep. When someone experiences a night terror, they might sit up in bed, scream or shout, have a panicked expression, kick and thrash, be sweaty and have a racing heart, be hard to awaken, and if awakened, be confused, and or not remember the episode the next morning. Now, we don't really know exactly why they happen, but there are several factors that could contribute to them. Like, high levels of stress or anxiety can increase the likelihood of experiencing night terrors. Not getting enough sleep, a fever, or certain medications can also trigger these night terrors. And also, especially in children, sleep schedule disruptions can cause these, like traveling, sleepovers, and other changes can disrupt a child's sleep schedule and increase the risk of these night terrors. Now, imagine a kid named Alex, right? Alex goes to bed at 8 p.m., but around 10 p.m. he starts screaming and sitting up in bed. His parents rush to his room and find him seemingly awake but unresponsive. Alex's eyes are wide open, but he doesn't recognize them, and he continues to scream. After a few minutes, he calms down and lies back down, falling asleep as if nothing happened. And then the next morning, Alex has no memory of the event. I think I had one of these, bro. When I was a little kid, I lived on the second floor, my room was, and I just woke up in the middle of the night, started peeing down the stairs. My dad and my mom just like came bottom the stairs to make sure I was like okay, and I just went back to bed, bro. I was a crazy kid, dude. I was pretty awesome, you know. Next up, we have deja vu in dreams. So deja vu, a French term meaning already seen, refers to the eerie and usually kind of like unsettling sensation of feeling that you've already witnessed or experienced a new situation, but you've already experienced it. I mean, we all know what deja vu is. This is really cool stuff. This is like very like liminal to me whenever I dream like this, you know? Like when you dream of a place, event, or conversation that feels intensely familiar, as if you've dreamt it before or been there before in real life. And then when you wake up, you struggle to remember if like the dream was just a memory of a real event or if it was something that your brain made up. Now, we don't really know exactly why deja vu in dreams happens, let alone why deja vu happens in general. There's the one theory that it's due to a glitch in the brain's memory system, where a current situation briefly triggers a feeling of an old memory. Then there's the theory that it's possible that deja vu in dreams reflects the brain's attempt to make sense of random neural firings during sleep. These firings might accidentally coincidentally aligned with existing memories or feelings, which create a sense of familiarity. This one isn't much to say, you know, it's just deja vu, but when you're dreaming, it's kind of scary, I don't know. Okay, next up we have a false awakening. A false awakening is a very curious type of dream. Imagine you think that you've woken up, going about your morning routine, maybe you get out of bed, brush your teeth, or start getting ready for the day, but then suddenly you realize something feels off, or you actually wake up for real this time, and then you understand that everything you just did was only part of a dream, and that is a false awakening. This stuff scares me, bro. If there are anybody out there who know the goons or like the Do and Soup in them, I was listening to their podcast one time, and the guy Blarg, which by the way, guys, get me on your podcast, please. Everybody watching this, go tweet and add them on Instagram and stuff about getting me on their podcast, bro, please. Anyways, Blarg was talking about this happened to him, bro, and the way he told it like was so scary. Like hearing it from somebody that I already kind of just like already like listened to, it was crazy, bro. Like this stuff is actually like scary. He was just saying that it just like freaked him out completely in the whole day, and the whole day he had no idea if he was asleep or not. Like he kept thinking, am I still sleeping? But anyways, false awakenings can be super detailed and vivid, which make them pretty convincing. You might even think that you're truly awake going about your day normally until something odd happens that clues you in, or until you actually wake up. Now there are a couple reasons why false awakenings might happen. For one, stress or anxiety. Like if you're feeling stressed or anxious about something, it might affect your sleep in weird ways, including causing false awakenings. Your mind is so active that even when you're trying to rest, it keeps going, which create these realistic dream scenarios. Also, if your sleep schedule is all over the place, or if you're not getting enough sleep, your chances of experiencing false awakenings might go up. Disruptions in your sleep can mess with your mind's ability to differentiate between being asleep and being awake. Also, lucid dreaming, which is what Blarg was doing in that story I was talking about. People who practice lucid dreaming, which is, you know, where you're aware you're dreaming, might experience false awakenings more frequently. It's like your mind plays a trick on you, making you think you've woken up as part of that awareness, but you're actually still dreaming. This is scary, bro. I hope this never happens to me. It hasn't happened to me yet, and thank God, bro, for real. Question of the day, while I pull up the next part of my script. What's the best Drake album, guys? What do you think? Put it down in the comments. What's the best Drake album? See, me personally, I'm a fan of Dark Lane demo tapes. I think that's his best work. It just feels like the most Drake, and like he's doing what he's good at, you know? I feel like his other work is kind of he's trying to do something he's not good at. Like the one with Future, or if you're reading this is too late, feel like he's trying too much to be too hard. I just think that album is like, I just think that Dark Lane demo tapes is the best at like getting what Drake's good at, but not pushing it too far, you know? Anyways, next thing Iceberg is Sandman. The Sandman is a mythical creature from folklore who is said to help people fall asleep. The story goes that the Sandman sprinkles magical sand or dust into the eyes of children to bring on dreams and sleep. The idea is that the sand causes the eyes to feel heavy, encouraging the child to, or the person, to close them and drift off to sleep. This comes from, you know, like little eye boogers, like you wake up and you get like stuff in your eye. That's where it comes from. Because like idiots, I guess, back in the day were like, oh, wouldn't it just gotta be a Sandman? This character has been part of Western and Northern European folklore for centuries and has appeared in various stories, poems, and even songs. The Sandman is often portrayed as a benevolent figure, kind of a guardian of the night, which helps ensure that people get a good night's rest filled with sweet dreams. Now, the concept of the Sandman has roots in various cultures, but one of the most famous references comes from the early 19th century, written by E.T.A. Hoffman in a story called Der Sandman. In this darker take, the Sandman is not quite the good figure you might expect, showing that the cultural interpretations can really vary a lot. Like, he's kind of a bad guy in that one. He's kind of scary. Next up, we have LSD Dream Journal, which is actually really, really cool. So the Dream Journal, also known by its actual name Lovely Sweet Dream, LSD, is a vivid written and drawn representation of various nightmares and dreams, which were used to partially inspire producer Osamu Sato to create LSD Dream Emulator, a video game. These dreams and nightmares were encountered throughout the 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s by a Japanese writer named Hiroko Nishikawa, and became the material written into the journal. Some of these dreams and nightmares were implemented into the game in their whole written forms as text dreams. The nature of these nightmares and dreams are extremely odd, and some are possibly even related to past traumatic events, containing pretty blatant like sexual and violent references and themes. A little scary. So yeah, it's an actual book that was released in Japan. It wasn't released anywhere else actually, but it was like a whole dream diary that inspired the game, which is actually really, really interesting, I think. And the writer author Hiroka Nishikawa herself has this to say of lovely sweet dreams. Quote, "There's a difference between actual dreams and remembered dreams. Even in the ones recorded in my dream diary are different than the real thing. The dreams reconstructed by the artists that read them are different as well. Don't try to analyze them or read them too much. Just enjoy this book as if walking through a dream." Pretty interesting. Next on the iceberg is coma sleep. So first of all, what is a coma? A coma is a deep state of unconsciousness where a person cannot be awakened. In this state, the individual doesn't respond to pain, light, sound, or other external stimuli. Comas can result from various causes, including severe brain injury, certain medical conditions, drug overdose, and a lack of oxygen to the brain. Although a coma might superficially resemble deep sleep, it's fundamentally different. In normal sleep, people go through cycles of deep sleep and REM sleep, and they can be awakened and will respond to some external stimuli. However, in a coma, the person does not respond to anything at all. The big question about dreaming in a coma is a bit tricky. Because people in a coma can't communicate, it's hard to know for sure if they're dreaming. The brain activity of coma patients have been studied and is quite different from both waking brain activity and the brain activity seen in sleep. So in a coma, the brain's activity levels are usually much lower than in a waking or sleeping state. This reduced activity suggests that the complex and vivid experiences we associate with dreams may actually not occur in a coma. However, as a person starts to recover from a coma, they might enter a state more similar to sleep where dreaming could theoretically happen. Some people who have recovered from comas report having dreamlike experiences or hallucinations, but these reports kind of vary pretty widely. Some describe these experiences as vivid dreams, while others recall nothing at all. The experiences could be influenced by many factors, including the part of the brain that was injured, the reason for the coma, and how long the coma lasted. Alright, and that was layer 4, guys. Let's get into layer 5, which scarily is called the point of no return. So this first one is called Dreams About Pyramids and Ancient Debris. I'm not exactly sure what this is supposed to mean exactly, so I'm just gonna talk about dreams about pyramids and ancient debris. So dreams about pyramids and ancient debris can be fascinating and kind of rich with symbolism. So pyramids, which are often associated with ancient Egypt, are powerful symbols of mystery, history, and stability. They stand as monuments to human achievement, ingenuity, and like the desire to connect with the divine because they're building so tall. That's what they're doing. If you dream about pyramids, it might reflect your own connection to the past, a sense of wonder of the ancient world, or your search of knowledge that stands the test of time. I don't know, man. I'm grasping at straws with this one. I'm gonna get through pretty quick though, don't worry. Now, dreaming on ancient debris, on the other hand, might represent something different. Debris usually refers to the remains of something that has been destroyed or broken down, and in dreams, ancient debris can symbolize the parts of your life or aspects of yourself that you've left behind. It might be about letting go of old beliefs, habits, or relationships that no longer serve you. I don't know, man. I feel like I'm missing something here. Let me know in the comments if I am, guys. My fault, my fault. Next up, we have melatonin dreams. This one I can relate to because whenever I take melatonin, I usually have like crazier dreams. So melatonin and dreams have a pretty interesting relationship. A 2018 study looked at the cases of several people who reported having frightening visions and hearing things at night that would disappear when the lights came on. The researchers found that taking 5 milligrams of melatonin worked immediately to fix this. Also, 5 milligrams of delayed release melatonin helped reduce the number of times these people experienced hallucinations. And even more interestingly, taking any less than 5 milligrams had almost no effect on reducing hallucinations, suggesting that 5 milligrams was a crucial amount for combating the effects of these night terrors. But can melatonin also make your dreams even more vivid? A 1987 study looked at how melatonin is involved in the brain's processes of storing and erasing recent memories. The story found that when you're in REM sleep, melatonin releases a substance called vasotocin, which helps your brain erase memories while you're dreaming. Now, it's during this time of your sleep cycle when you have the kinds of vivid dreams that you remember most, and then taking extra melatonin can boost the amount of vasotocin that's let loose in your brain, leading to longer periods of memory erasing sleep that leaves you with intense dreams. A 1998 study found some evidence for the role of melatonin's influence on dreams by looking at people with schizophrenia whose brains had problems in these memory systems. The typical brain erases dream memories as soon as you're awake so that your brain can tell the difference between dream memories and real memories. But in the brain of someone with schizophrenia, vasotocin isn't always properly released by melatonin during sleep. This means that memories of dreams aren't erased when you wake up, weakening the brain's ability to distinguish between dreams that you experience while awake and those that you remember from dreams. So melatonin may be intimately involved in the whole process of dreaming as a way for your brain to store, erase, and understand memories. Now, there's a lot less research on melatonin and nightmares, but it's interesting to me, so I'm going to talk about it. A 2015 case report first found a possible link between melatonin and episodes of nightmares, though taking melatonin itself wasn't necessarily the source of the nightmares. This report looked at a case of a person with insomnia who started taking a medication called rameltein, which interacts directly with receptors in the brain that allows melatonin to promote your natural sleep cycle. Soon after taking rameltein, the person reported having intense nightmares, but then the nightmares stopped almost immediately after their doctor told them to stop taking rameltein. So yeah, rameltein kind of boosts melatonin, so it's not, I mean, kind of grasping at straws again, but I thought it was interesting to at least point out a little bit. But yeah, next on the iceberg is tea break dreams. Taking a tea break or a tolerance break from substances like weed can lead to a fascinating and sometimes intense phenomenon known as tea break dreams. These are vivid, often memorable dreams that can occur when you suddenly stop taking a substance your body has grown accustomed to. So when you regularly use stuff like weed, it can actually affect your sleep patterns, particularly your REM sleep. Weed is known to suppress REM sleep, so while you might still be getting plenty of shut-eye, the depth and intensity of your dreams can decrease. However, when you take a break from cannabis, your body tries to rebalance itself, leading to a rebound effect where you experience more intense REM sleep. So your brain is just trying to like catch up on like what it missed out on, pretty much. Pretty cool, I guess. All right, next up we have technology doesn't work in dreams. So this is just referring to how when you're dreaming, usually technology just won't work. There's a theory that it's due to dreams being emotional and subjective rather than like highly logical like computers are. And so the brain is trying to imitate something that is extremely logically precise with numerous subjective abstractions it's gathered through the years through experiences and memories. And that's great for things like forming characters in dreams, but it's pretty bad at imitating technology. That's just a theory. We don't really know why this is. It kind of ranges person to person too though, because with some people like they can dream technology, so I don't even know. Next up is exploding head syndrome. Exploding head syndrome, or EHS, is a parasomnia sleep disorder defined by episodes that typically occur during the transition between sleep and wakefulness, or again hypnagogia, the Great Break-Ins album. These episodes feature imagined sounds or sensations that create the perception of a loud explosion or possibly a flash of light in the sleeper's head. And the episodes are really brief, usually lasting less than a second. And although this disorder is not associated with physical pain, people may feel frightened or anxious after the episode. And also those who experience more than one episode during the course of a single night may also experience strong, this is the word that sleepfoundation.org gave me, arousal. Not sure what that means. Not sure what that means, but I don't know, man. I don't know, man. According to the International Classification of Sleep Disorders, patients must meet all of the following criteria to receive an EHS diagnosis. First of all is complaints of loud noises or sensations that mimic the effects of an explosion in the head, feelings of intense arousal and possibly fright, and no significant physical pain during or following the episodes. Now, what causes exploding head syndrome? Although EHS has been documented since the 1870s, which is a while, the disorder has not been extensively studied and the prevalence rate is not known. Research suggests EHS occurs more commonly in women than men. The median age for all reported is 58, but some cases have been reported with patients ranging from younger than 10 to older than 80. In most cases, patients don't even notice any like precipitating factors leading up to an episode. That said, some claim to experience a greater number of episodes when they feel tired or stressed. Also, feelings of fright following one of these episodes is common, as are physiological signs of fear such as sweating, palpitations, and difficulty breathing. This is crazy, man. I can't even imagine just waking up and feeling like my head is literally exploding. That's kind of wild, bro. Next on the iceberg is hypnopompic hallucinations. Okay, so generally hallucinations are sensory experiences that don't correspond to what's happening in reality. Hallucinations may include seeing, hearing, feeling, or even smelling things that feel real but are not. Now, hypnopompic hallucinations in particular are hallucinations that occur as you are waking up in the morning and in a state that falls somewhere between dreaming and being fully awake. Hypnopompic hallucinations are actually pretty common, occurring in over 12% of people. They aren't as common as hypnagogic hallucinations, however, that occur in up to 37% of people. And hypnagogic again is when you're going to sleep, and then hypnopompic is when you're waking up. Together, hypnagogic and hypnopompic hallucinations are referred to as hypnagogia, which is the name of the album. So these hallucinations though are kind of different than like schizophrenia and stuff and like drugs, because they're not really like, what's the word? They don't fool you, you know? Usually people experiencing hypnopompic hallucinations recognize that what they see or hear is not real. But when people experience hallucinations due to schizophrenia or due to drugs, they tend to believe that what they heard or saw was real. And so hypnopompic hallucinations tend to be vivid but relatively short and straightforward. Hypnopompic hypnopompic hallucinations differ from nightmares in that they happen as you're waking up, while nightmares are happening while you're asleep. And then sometimes sleep paralysis is accompanied by one of these hallucinations, such as the sensation that another person's in the room or that a person or object is putting pressure on your chest. Hypnopompic hallucinations can be visual, auditory, or tactile. In 86% of cases, hallucinations are visual. They often involve seeing moving shapes and colors or images of animals or people. While these images can move, they generally don't form a story like dreams do. Between 8 and 34% of these hallucinations involve sound. Common sounds include the ringing of the bells or the sound of talking voices. Sounds may be paired with images or occur on their own, and common auditory hallucinations include background noises like a phone ringing, people talking, or animal noises. Now, sensory or tactile hallucinations refer to when a person feels bodily sensations that are not actually occurring. In 25% to 44% of instances, hypnopompic hallucinations involve these tactile sensations. For example, you might feel like you're weightless, flying, or in a room with a different person. Like in a different room, I mean. And we don't really know what causes these exactly. It's kind of interesting. Next up, we have Devil's Trill Sonata. So this is a song about a dream. Okay, let me just like, it's written by a guy named Tartini, right? And this is what he said circa 1765. One night in the year 1713, I dreamed I had made a pact with the devil for my soul. Everything went as I wished. My new servant anticipated my every desire. Among other things, I gave him a violin to see if he could play. How great was my astonishment on hearing a sonata so wonderful and so beautiful, played with such great art and intelligence as I had never even conceived in my boldest flight's fantasy. I felt enraptured, transported, enchanted. My breath failed me and I awoke. I immediately grasped my violin in order to retain, in part at least, the impression of my dream. In vain. The music which I at this time composed is indeed the best I ever wrote, and I still call it the Devil's Trill. Kind of scary, kind of scary. This is kind of terrifying, actually, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Kind of weird though. Kind of whatever. Okay, and we are going from layer 5 into layer 6, starting with dream remote viewing. Remote viewing is the paranormal ability to see across long distances in space and time without physically traveling there. Although they lack any scientific proof, RV or remote viewing fans insist that anyone can remote view by entering a state of deep theta meditation and watching for any mental imagery which then arises. And by the way, guys, for this one, I'm getting my information from worldofluciddreaming.com. Now, strictly speaking, RVing is considered to be a form of extrasensory perception, or ESP. Now, it seems pretty obvious that it's fake, right, to me and you, but the US government didn't think so. Project Stargate was the code name for a top secret US military operation that used remote viewing to gather intelligence on its enemies. It was launched during the height of the Cold War in the early 1970s, although the US government had occasionally funded research into ESP since World War II. Military research into ESP was shut down in 1995 after 23 years and $20 million of US government funding. The project was declassified and the media pounced on it. Why was the US military sending millions of dollars into researching psychic powers? Had they gone completely crazy, or was there some proof that it actually worked? People researched it, the US government even researched it, and there's nothing conclusive really to come from the research. This stuff's kind of wishy-washy, bro. Oh, I hate that term. I don't know why I use that term. I'm sorry. I hate that term. Whatever. It's probably fake, whatever, but you know, try it for yourself. That website I'm using has a step-by-step thing. Check it out for yourself if you want to. Next up on the iceberg is paroxetine. Paroxetine is an antidepressant that belongs to a group of drugs called selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, which you might learn a lot more about in my video on drugs that came out last week if you want to go check that out. Paroxetine is used to treat depression, including major depressive disorder. It's also used to treat panic disorder, OCD, anxiety, PTSD, and a lot of other stuff as well. Paroxetine can bring about hypersomnia, which is severe sleepiness and excess sleep duration. It's like a very, very strong sleep drug. It can make you really sleepy. It can also give you hallucinations and stuff like that. I'm not gonna go too in depth because I actually talked about this in my last video, so go check that out instead. Next up, we have DPH dreams. So DPH is diphenhydramine, also known as Benadryl. At high doses, DPH can produce vivid dreams, nightmares, and even hallucinations, both auditorily and visually, leading to experiences that can be deeply unsettling or downright scary. When used as a sleep aid in recommended doses, DPH works by blocking the action of histamine, a substance in the body that plays a major role in allergic reactions but also has a role in wakefulness. By blocking histamine, DPH promotes drowsiness, which can help people fall asleep. However, at higher doses, DPH's effects can extend beyond simple drowsiness to induce a state where the lines between sleep and wakefulness blur. This state can lead to vivid, often bizarre, and sometimes frightening dreams. The reason for this lies in how DPH affects the brain. Beyond just antihistamine effects, DPH can also block the action of acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter involved in learning, memory, and REM sleep. DPH-induced dreams can be vivid and often carry a darker, more sinister tone. Users have reported dreams that involve themes of persecution, bizarre and unsettling scenarios, or encounters with entities that are deeply frightening, like the Hat Man. These dreams can sometimes be remembered with unusual clarity upon waking, which is kind of scary. In addition to affecting dreams, high doses of DPH can lead to hallucinations and a state of delirium in which individuals might have difficulty distinguishing between what's real and what's not. These experiences can be particularly frightening, with reports of seeing insects, shadow people, or hearing voices or sounds that aren't there. The delirious state induced by DPH can also lead to confusion, disorientation, and anxiety, which exacerbate the distressing nature of this whole experience. DPH is scary, bro. I mean, Benadryl's cool and all, it's like a legal drug, I kind of like it, but whatever, it's kind of scary. MK Ultra dream experiments. I couldn't find much specifically about dream experiments. I know that MK Ultra did a lot just in human experimentation. They would give people LSD and all this stuff is kind of crazy. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know about dreams specifically. Stilton cheese. So I'm sure we've all heard that cheese can cause like crazy dreams, and that's true, but especially Stilton cheese, which is like a kind of weird blue cheese. Over 75% of the male test subjects who ate Stilton cheese before going to bed reported having strange dreams that night. And then more than 85% of females experienced the exact same phenomenon. This is crazy. I don't know why it works. I don't think anybody knows why this works, like why this gives you crazy dreams, but go for it, man. I think it's kind of cool. Next up is fever dreams. Fever dreams are vivid, unpleasant dreams that sometimes accompany a fever. Researchers theorize that heating of the brain can affect cognitive processing, making fever dreams more strange than typical dreams. So fever dreams are one of the possible symptoms of fever. In multiple studies, sleepers describe their fever dreams as bizarre, negative, and emotionally intense. Experiences of fever dreams vary among sleepers. Some people with fevers do not recall dreaming, while others can recall their fever dreams years later. So a fever is a sign of inflammation and one of the body's potential responses to infection or illness. Although there is wide variability of body temperature among individuals, a standard human body temperature is generally considered about 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. But then fevers are when it's above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And then other symptoms of a fever are like cold and chills, weakness, warmth, blah, 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 you know this stuff. But what is a fever dream? A fever dream is a vivid, often bizarre or unpleasant dream that sleepers can experience when they have a fever. These dreams happen similarly to other dreams. Although they can occur during any stage of sleep, most vivid dreams happen again during REM sleep, just like normal dreams. Fever dreams differ from other dreams in that they're more vivid and unusual. Fever dreams also tend to feel more negative and involve fewer positive emotions than other recent non-fever dreams. Also, in fever dreams, the sleeper interacts with fewer dream characters or figures. So specific aspects of fever dreams can include like spatial distortion, where moving walls, objects melting, and spaces changing size were the most common type of dream in one study of fever dreams. Also, threats or danger. Study participants reported that their fever dreams contained threats from dogs, insects, terrorists, and stones. And thirdly, illness. Types of illnesses in dreams may vary, but in one study, sleepers dreamed about illnesses such as respiratory disease, pain, and vertigo. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I've always heard like the term fever dream, but I never exactly knew what it meant. But hey, now I do. Now we all do. Let's go, boys. All right, next on the iceberg is shadow people. So first I want to bring up how one example of a particular shadow person is the Hat Man, who shares the characteristics of general shadow people, but is named for a fedora on his head. And descriptions of the Hat Man date back to as early as the late 2000s. Okay, I got ahead of myself a little bit, but a shadow person is the perception of a patch of shadow as a living species and like a humanoid figure, sometimes interpreted as the presence of a spirit or other entity by believers in the paranormal or supernatural. Now, several physiological and psychological conditions can account for reported experiences of shadowy shapes seeming alive. A sleep paralysis sufferer may perceive a shadowy or indistinct shape approaching them when they lie awake, paralyzed, and become increasingly alarmed. I know that I've definitely seen these sometimes. Like, I've never been like actually panicked, you know, but I feel like we've all seen shadow people like in a certain way, like in our own way, you know? It's scary, man. Sometimes like, cause I turn my computer off, but some of the stuff I have plugged into it, like my audio interface and stuff, still has light that emits from it. And I'll be laying in bed sometimes and just like look up and just see like a shadow made by like my mic and stuff on the ceiling. And it scares scares the hell out of me, man. I'm not gonna lie, it scares the hell out of me sometimes. Like when I'm like in that hypnagogic state where I'm just like kind of like falling asleep, but I'm not there yet. It's scary, dude, if you just like notice it out of nowhere. And again, shadow people are much more common if you're on any kind of DPH. Next up is nutmeg sleep. Sleeping on nutmeg. Apparently nutmeg helps you sleep, apparently. Nutmeg is a Indian spice sparingly used in many Indian dishes to enhance their taste and flavor. And apart from this, the spice also has certain medicinal properties that are of great value. Now, there's a natural chemical in this nutmeg called trimeristin, and this is responsible for inducing sleep, relaxing your tired muscles and nerves, and set in a sense of calm. However, there are other natural extracts and chemicals found in nutmeg such as myristicin, elemicin, safrole, or eugenol, which all have certain medicinal and therapeutic properties. Yeah, this stuff makes you sleepy, I guess. I don't know what else to say, man. It makes you sleepy, bro. Go eat some nutmeg if you sleepy, bro. Next on the iceberg is the gray man. From what I'm researching, I can't find anything that makes this any different than like just shadow people. Okay, actually, I just lied. I just found one distinction. This is from the Reddit and it's from a deleted user, so I can't shut you out. Sorry, dude. So typically when people take drugs like DPH, which is known to give you bad trips, you see the gray man. And a lot of people speculate he's an entity like the shadow people, but other people interpret him as an ally sometimes rather than an enemy. Maybe? I don't know, man. I just don't want to see no gray man when I'm asleep, bro. Kind of scary. Also, you can see him in the game LSD Dream Emulator, which is a really cool game, by the way. According to the alien theory, the gray man may represent an alien probing the conscious mind in a dream. In the sexual texture theory, the gray man could represent a murderer or a sexual criminal. This is all according to the game, by the way, LSD Dream Emulator. The player's mind may be trying to mentally block the gray man to prevent repressed memories from being reawakened. In the game, the gray man wears a dark gray trench coat. He also wears a hat of the same color that appears to be either a bucket hat or a fedora. His hands appear to be inside his pockets and his face has no face, as his model is just completely like flatly colored. And he appears to be gliding instead of walking. Yeah, not sure what exactly to say here, guys. Okay, next up is the Randy Gardner sleep deprivation experiment. The Randy Gardner sleep deprivation experiment is one of the most famous instances of deliberate sleep deprivation documented in scientific study. In 1964, Randy Gardner, a 17-year-old high school student in San Diego, California, set out to break the world record for the longest time without sleep. Under the observation of Stanford sleep researcher Dr. William Dermont and Lieutenant Commander John J. Rose, Gardner managed to stay awake for 264 hours, or about 11 days, without any stimulants. Gardner's endeavor was not conducted in a laboratory setting, but was closely monitored by medical professionals and scientists. The aim was to observe the effects of sleep deprivation on the human body and mind, and throughout the experiment, Gardner experienced various cognitive and behavioral changes, like mood swings and problems with concentration and short-term memory, paranoia, and hallucinations. But then despite these like pretty significant psychological effects, Gardner was able to complete simple tasks, and he even beat Dr. Dement in a game of pinball on the last day. One of the key observations from the experiment was the extent to which sleep deprivation could affect cognitive functions and emotional stability without causing lasting physical harm. Gardner's health was monitored, and although he experienced extreme fatigue, difficulty concentrating, and hallucinations, he did not suffer long-term physical health consequences directly attributed to the experiment. After finally going to sleep at the end of the experiment, he slept for 14 hours and 40 minutes, and then just awoke naturally without feeling any like ill side effects from it. Kind of interesting, man. All right, next is peripheral vision hallucinations. Okay, so for this one, I'm not sure what makes this exactly different from just regular hallucinations. It's just hallucinations while you're in your hypnagogic or hypnopompic state that happen in your peripheral vision, you know, like the vision like to the outward of your vision, not like where you're focusing on, that you don't really notice, and then like you kind of notice it in the corner of your eye, and then you look at it and then it's like not what you thought it was, like it goes back to being normal. Yeah, that's that. Next is fatal insomnia. Fatal insomnia is an extremely rare disease that results in trouble sleeping as its hallmark symptom, but then it's fatal. It worsens over time, and then eventually the patient will succumb to total insomnia, most often leading to other symptoms such as speech problems, coordination problems, and dementia. It results in death within a few months to a few years, and it has no known cure. So there are 4 stages to this disease. The first stage is categorized by worsening insomnia, resulting in panic attacks, paranoia, and phobias, and this stage lasts about 4 months. Stage 2 is when hallucinations and panic attacks become noticeable, and this continues for about 5 months. Stage 3 is complete inability to sleep and is followed by rapid loss of weight, and this lasts for about 3 months. And then stage 4 is really sad, is the dementia state, during which the person becomes unresponsive or mute over the course of 6 months. And this is the final stage of the disease, after which death occurs. This is sad, man. It's sad. It's also like a scary way to go, dying because you just, can't sleep. Pretty sad, man. All right, and that marks the end of level 6. Let's get straight into layer 7, called Never Sleeping Again. First up, we have Nightmare Death. Nightmare Death is a really weird, scary mystery. Supposedly, there was a total death count of 130 refugee immigrants who died in their sleep over the span of 4 to 5 years. This was called Bangun Gut in their language and knowledge. The autopsy reports no sign of cardiac arrest, no unusual brain activities during this death. They just so happened to die in their sleep during a nightmare, and there's no explanation really. And they all suffered from like really bad, horrible nightmares. And also MatPat covered this in a video at one point, and he said that like he was telling the story about how this one like elderly man just screamed in the middle of the night and then all of a sudden died. This is scary, bro. And I'm gonna skip over the incubus demon thing. Look up incubus and succubus if you want on your own free will, but not on this YouTube channel, I don't think. Next up is Klein-Levin syndrome. This is a rare disease of like episodes of hypersomnia and hypersexuality and like compulsive eating. Okay, let me break this down. So KLS, or Klein-Levin syndrome, is also known as Sleeping Beauty syndrome, and it's a rare and really complex neurological disorder characterized primarily, again, by recurring episodes of excessive sleep, also known as hypersomnia. And it affects like adolescents, like about teenagers mostly. And the cause of this syndrome is not very well understood, but it is believed to involve abnormalities in the hypothalamus and thalamus, areas of the brain that regulate your sleep and your appetite. Yeah, so basically it's just this little disease that you get these like really bad spouts of just complete hypersomnia, like you sleep for like up to 20 hours a day. And in this state, you can get like disoriented, you can get a lack of awareness, you can get confused, you can get irritable, have mood swings, and have like childlike behavior. And also, again, you can have like hyperphagia, which is excessive eating, or anorexia. And also, some individuals may display inappropriate sexual behavior during episodes. And yeah, there's no known cure. People just usually use like stimulants so they don't like sleep too much, but no known cure. It's kind of sad, man. Next up is pattern recognition suppression in dreams. So this refers to the decreased ability to recognize patterns or logical inconsistencies within your dream. Dreams obviously feature often like bizarre and illogical and surreal stuff, but during the dream, the dreamer may not question these anomalies. So like this lack of recognition or questioning is a pretty key aspect of why dreams can be so vivid and yet defy logical analysis. Now, why does this happen exactly? So during REM sleep, when you're dreaming, certain areas of the brain show decreased activity, especially those involved in critical thinking, planning, and logic, such as the prefrontal cortex. Meanwhile, areas involved in visual and emotional processing are more active. And this shift in brain activity patterns helps explain why dreams can be emotionally intense and visually vivid but lack logical coherence, and why dreamers accept the dream narrative without question. The suppression of the prefrontal cortex function is thought to inhibit the ability to recognize patterns and inconsistencies, which would normally prompt questioning or skepticism in a waking state. Yeah, dreams are weird, man. And it is interesting how you never really realize that they're weird. Like, you never think, oh, this is weird when you're dreaming. It's just normal. Unless you're lucid dreaming, of course. I guess then you probably could. Next up is nicotine patches dreams. And this one, there isn't really much to say about. So nicotine patches are used to like get off of smoking, like you'll get the nicotine still in you, but you won't be smoking to break the habit. Nicotine is a stimulant that affects the neurotransmitter called acetylcholine, which is involved in arousal, cognition, learning, memory, and mood. And the increased activity of this chemical in the brain can enhance the vividness and intensity of dreams. Nicotine can also alter sleep patterns, reducing the amount of time spent in deep sleep and potentially increasing the duration of REM sleep. So yeah, those are just some, ways that it can affect your dreams, but this is like, there's not really much to say about this one. Next up on the iceberg, we have astral travel dreams. So astral travel, also known as astral projection, refers to an experience where it's believed that the astral body, a component of the self separate from the physical body, travels outside the physical body to various destinations or other planes of existence. Now, when it comes to dreams, astral travel is often described as a vivid and conscious experience occurring during sleep, where the individual feels as if they are traveling or floating outside their body. Now, unlike typical dreams, which are often fragmented and where the dreamer usually lacks self-awareness, astral travel dreams are characterized by a heightened sense of consciousness and control. Individuals report being fully aware of their experiences as navigate different landscapes or realms. These dreams can also involve highly vivid and detailed perceptions. People describe experiencing colors more brightly, encountering entities or beings, and traversing through environments that feel as real as the physical world. Astral travel dreams often include experiences that defy physical laws too, like flying, passing through objects, or instantaneously moving from one location to another. Also, many report astral travel dreams speak of profound spiritual or emotional insights gained during these experiences. These are pretty cool, man. Next up, we have Chief Bromden hallucination. Chief Bromden, a character in Ken Kesey's novel One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, experiences hallucinations that play a pretty significant role in the narrative and his character development. The novel, set in a mental institution in Oregon, uses Chief Bromden as the narrator. Chief Bromden frequently describes being enveloped in a thick, fog-like substance that he believes is produced by the institution to control and pacify the patients. This fog symbolizes his sense of confusion, disorientation, and detachment from reality, serving as a mechanism for coping with the oppressive environment of the hospital he's in. He also hallucinates about a vast mechanized system he calls the Combine, which represents the societal and institutional forces that he perceives as designed to conform individuals through dehumanization and control. This guy's hallucinations can be interpreted, like, to me, as like manifestations of his psychological trauma, mostly. Also, I should probably mention that Chief Bromden is like a patient in the psychological or in the mental hospital, and yet like throughout the whole story he's like engulfed in this fog. Pretty trippy story, pretty creepy story, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Next up are childhood memory dreams. These really get me, man. Like, I don't know, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I like weirdcore and dreamcore and that stuff, and that's really what dreamcore and weirdcore is it's like dreams of your childhood and the nostalgia and stuff. Like, I could go on about weirdcore and that kind of thing for so long, and dreamcore, obviously, like dream sleep, but you can just go watch my videos on that if you want to. But yeah, I'm not gonna say much about these from any kind of like scientific view. I just think these are really special. Something about childhood, you know, obviously is just so innocent, so nice, and something about dreaming about it is just so great. I recently had a dream myself where I was like at like a bouncy house type thing, and I don't know, man, it just brings me back, you know, makes me feel safe. I love it. But I will mention some views on it. So the Freudian view, right? Sigmund Freud believed that dreams are the fulfillment of a wish that is not accessible to the individual when awake, often rooted in childhood experiences. And he posited that dreams could provide valuable insights into unresolved childhood conflicts or desires. There's also Carl Jung's view. Carl Jung viewed dreams as a window into the unconscious, where childhood memories and archetypes play a really significant role in, like, I guess, personal development and individuation. He believed that dreams could help individuals connect with their inner selves and uncover deeper truths about their life and personality. But yeah, I mean, we have a lot of core memories from growing up because, you know, that was like when our brain was developing and stuff, so we get a lot of dreams about that. I love it. Thank God for those. Thank God for those. Thank you, God. Next up is Jacob's Ladder True Story. Jacob's Ladder is a psychological horror film from 1990 that delves into the mind of a Vietnam War veteran who experiences disturbing hallucinations and flashback, all of which are partly attributed to his exposure to chemical warfare. Now, while this film isn't true and is completely fiction, it touches on some pretty real themes of PTSD and chemical warfare and like experiments. So in Jacob's Ladder, the protagonist, Jacob Singer, is a Vietnam War vet who finds his everyday life invaded by terrifying visions and flashbacks that blur the lines between reality and nightmare. The film explores themes of trauma, the after effects of war, and the struggle to differentiate between reality and hallucinations. And a significant plot point in the movie suggests that Jacob's experiences could be linked to a chemical drug that was tested on soldiers during the war to increase their aggressions. Now, during the Vietnam War, in reality, the US military used various chemicals, most notoriously Agent Orange, a defoliant meant to strip the dense forests of Vietnam to expose enemy troops. And this drug did have like pretty long-term health problems for both Vietnamese people and American veterans. So yeah, the drugs they used would like kind of mess with people's brains. That's crazy, dude. I think it's crazy that we can just like make a chemical that we put it somewhere like around somebody and then it messes with their actual brain chemistry. Like we can actually mess with how people perceive the world. That's insane to me, man. Like that technology is just crazy. PTSD nightmares. PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder, I don't even know why I have to explain that, can cause nightmares. These nightmares are a common and often debilitating symptom for people who have experienced or witnessed traumatic events. These nightmares are more than just bad dreams. They are intense, disturbing, and frequently related directly to the traumatic event the person has experienced. This is really sad and scary. Unlike typical nightmares, PTSD nightmares often replay the traumatic event or involve themes directly related to the trauma. They can be exceptionally vivid, making the dreamer feel as though they're reliving it all over again. They can also be really frequent and repetitive, and they can totally mess with like your sleep quality. The intensity PTSD nightmares can carry over into daytime hours, which is really sad, man. It can like affect mood, concentration, and just an overall sense of well-being. It's really sad. All right, and that finishes up level 7. We have one layer left, the bottom layer, layer 8. Trapped in a dream. This is just the idea that you can be in a dream and you can't get out. Like, I kind of touched on this earlier with like the lucid dreams where you realize you're lucid dreaming. Like, if you can't get out, that's terrifying. If you know you're dreaming and you're even in like a nightmare, for example, right? And you want to get out, you pinch yourself, but you just cannot wake up. That sounds horrifying. I mean, even if it's not a nightmare, even if it's just like a regular dream, can you imagine me dreaming and you want to wake up, but you just can't? You just can't. That's terrifying, man. Al Herpin. Al Herpin, often referred to as the man who never slept, is a fascinating figure in medical history. He lived in Trenton, New Jersey, and was known for his claim of never sleeping. Born in 1862, Herpin's case puzzled doctors and scientists during his lifetime, and still puzzles people. It's crazy. Herpin worked as a night watchman, a job that suited his unusual condition. He claimed that he would spend his nights reading and would rest by lying down and resting his eyes, but he never actually fell asleep. He lived in a small house without any beds, further supporting his claim. Medical examinations of Al Herpin didn't reveal any abnormalities that could explain his lack of sleep. He was reportedly in good health, leading a normal, active life despite his extraordinary claim. I don't know if I believe this, man. I mean, it was 1862, bro. He was born. Like, come on. Can you believe that, really? I don't think I believe it. BZ drug. BZ, also known as Agent BZ, is a potent hallucinogenic drug that was developed for military use. It's a psychoactive agent classified as an anticholinergic deliriant, which means that it works by blocking the neurotransmitter acetylcholine in the central and peripheral nervous systems. The effects of BZ include hallucinations, confusion, disorientation, and in some cases, prolonged delirium that can last for days. Developed in the 1950s and 60s, BZ was investigated by the United States military as a non-lethal incapacitating agent. Its primary intended use was to debilitate enemy forces by causing temporary confusion and inability to perform military tasks without causing permanent harm. Now, the effects of BZ begin within hours of exposure and it can last for several days. The drug can cause like severe and like unpredictable hallucinations, with users unable to distinguish fantasy from reality. It can also cause dry mouth, dizziness, difficulty speaking, and confusion. This was kind of kept secret, like we don't really know much about it. We don't really know how much it was used, how often it was used, that kind of thing. I think it's kind of scary, bro. I'm not gonna lie. This kind of thing, I mean, the military just doing this, like what else is the military doing, bro? Like if this is the stuff they try to keep under wraps, but still got leaked, what are they doing that they have successfully kept under wraps? This kind of scares me, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I'm no conspiracy theorist, but like a little bit, man. And that is the end of the sleep iceberg. I really hope you guys all enjoyed this video. This is a really interesting topic to me. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to subscribe, like, and have a great night. Sleep well. Sweet dreams.